Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today, where we will be discussing the value of partnerships and global connections, which is brought to you today by Moneycorp. My name is Kelly Cutchin. I am the country manager for Moneycorp in the USA, and I am excited to be your host today, along with a few of my colleagues from around the world. Our goal today is to introduce a few key players from within the Moneycorp family in hopes to open doors and opportunities for you and your business. Each speaker will be providing you with a glimpse into their markets and their areas of expertise. We're also really excited to welcome a special guest for you today, Chief Experience Officer at Experience.com, Brittany Hodak, who is going to bring to light the importance to all of us in making meaningful connections and the ripple effects those connections have on our businesses and our clients. So be sure to stick around for that. Well, at this time, I would like to welcome our speakers to the virtual stage, beginning with Head of Latin America, Juliana Scolari, International Sales Director, Norman Marks, and Head of UK Origination, Tanya Yunyak. You'll have the opportunity to hear from each of our speakers, but at this time, I'd like to welcome our first presenter today, Juliana Scolari.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. As Kelly mentioned, my name is Juliana Scolari, and I'm head of LATAM for Moneycorp. A little bit about my history here. I joined Moneycorp a little over 10 years ago as an account manager. Being originally from Brazil myself, I knew that Moneycorp already provided a great service to many markets. And if you were able to expand that same service to Brazil, it would be an amazing opportunity for the company. Investors around the world, even Brazilian investors, had very difficulty times to find foreign exchange specialists for Brazil. So very hard to find reliable information and even how the entire process worked. So I embraced that opportunity with Moneycorp, and I expand the company's market tremendously since then. So fast forwarding 10 years now, we have now acquired a banking license in Brazil, which aligns with Moneycorp internationalization goals, which is an amazing achievement for our company. A little bit about me. I actually graduated in Brazil with my bachelor's degree in hotel management. My passion has always been service, and I'm a true believer that if you provide a great service to your clients, regardless of which area you work, success will follow. I moved to Florida in 2004, so it's been a little while now, initially to work for Walt Disney World Resorts. I've been here since then, and I actually graduated also in Florida with my MBA. So explaining a little bit about our team here in Florida. So in Florida, we have a team of specialized people that serve the Brazilian market. We help either private clients or corporate clients and assist them with all the information they need in order to be able to trade BRL. But we also manage our partners. So we do have partners that are locally in Brazil, developers, real estate agents, financial advisors that mainly specialize in serving foreign nationals who wish to invest in Brazil. Here in the USA, especially in Florida, where we are, we work with professionals in specialized industries in which their core business is to help Brazilians to invest and immigrate to the USA. Since the pandemic, we have seen a decrease in the amount of clients that are transferring funds out of Brazil. But surprisingly to us, there is still a great volume of funds going out of Brazil. However, because the real estate market in Florida is really a selling market right now, so houses are appreciating, increasing in values, we are seeing now a very huge increase in the amount of Brazilians that had previously purchased their properties here, looking into repatriate their funds back. So we're having a lot of calls and a lot of requests in regards to that. We also have partners in the United Kingdom and Australia, anywhere throughout the world where we see that anyone having that specialty in helping clients that are involved with BRL, we are here to help. So now I'm going to take advantage to speak a little bit about Brazil peculiarities, since it's a currency that's very different from the majority of the currencies that we work. So I found to be a very useful information to share with you all. So the first thing is that Brazilian real is a restricted currency, so reais cannot be sent into Brazil. So what really happens is whenever a client's sending funds into Brazil, they're actually sending their foreign currency to the local Brazilian bank, usually the bank of that beneficiary. And only upon arrival is that those funds are going to get converted. Usually it's a very poor rate of exchange that they're being offered. Also important to mention that money sent to Brazil must be registered properly with central bank. If the funds are not correctly registered, clients may have difficulties when it comes time to repatriate those funds. Transfers are very slow the majority of the times, and securing a guaranteed delivery date is also really hard. There are also other issues with funds getting out of Brazil that's important to mention. So the number one is that clients must be qualified based on central bank requirements, regardless of how much money they have available in their bank account. So it's really important for a client to have access to a specialist that's going to be able to explain the process and what is going to be required from a central bank point of view to facilitate those transfers. Banks, usually commercial banks in Brazil, don't offer a very competitive rate of exchange on top of charging very high fees. And another important point about Brazil is that banks locally actually offer a great banking service in Brazil. Account managers of banks in Brazil do provide an excellent service there. However, when it comes to foreign exchange solutions, they are usually not the specialist into this. So they transfer that client to another segregated desk and start becoming that middleman. So clients end up suffering with the delays on the process and get really frustrated. So again, the importance of speaking with the specialist directly when it comes to Brazilian reais. So now explaining about why Moneycorp. So as I mentioned before, we did acquire a banking license, which means that we have direct access to Brazil. So I pointed here a few of the highlights on that importance. Number one, of course, is this expert service, right? So we do have that team of specialty, not only the team that I work here in Florida, but also obviously our entire bank that is able to communicate each requirement, and not only the requirements of central bank, but the requirements that connects that particular client with the place where they are investing. So, you know, the fact that we know what a title company is, what a regional center is in the USA, which are for clients that are doing EB5, helps the clients a lot to get those funds out of the country in an efficient way. When you're talking about funds into Brazil, Moneycorp can guarantee the amount of funds that's going to arrive in Brazil because we fix the Brazilian rate of exchange. This is really important. If a client's not working directly with a licensed financial institution in Brazil, they wouldn't be able to do that. Fast, transparent delivery. We are a bank in Brazil. We have direct access to the funds, and we know exactly where the funds are from A to Z when our client's working with us. Obviously, competitive exchange rates. This is a slogan for Moneycorp throughout our organization, so it wouldn't be any difference for Brazil. So in Brazil, we do offer much more competitive rates than the banks. And the registration with the central bank that I mentioned to you. We guarantee that's going to be registered properly, so your clients don't have any issues when repatriating those funds. Thank you so much, and I would like to call Norman.
Thank you, Juliana. Just quickly at this time, I do want to point out that questions should be emailed to your existing account manager or contact at Moneycorp. However, if you are unsure who that might be, please email us on events@moneycorp.com. That's events, EVENTS, @moneycorp.com. Next, I would like to welcome Moneycorp's very own Norman Marks to the stage. So Norman, take it away.
Thank you, Kelly. Hi, everyone. I'm Norman Marks, the International Sales Director for Moneycorp. I've been living here in Spain now for 19 years and working for Moneycorp for 14 years. My main responsibilities are for Spain, Portugal, and France, but predominantly 90% of our business comes from Spain and the Balearic Islands, which is introduced to us by various referring partners who are mainly estate agents and lawyers. The vast majority of the business comes from customers buying along the coastal areas stretching from Valencia right the way along the southern coast to the borders of Gibraltar. We have a small number of customers who buy properties in the inland countryside areas and the wine growing regions. The vast majority of all customers are UK citizens who are either buying their dream homes or selling up and moving back to the UK. The property market here in Spain was recovering well in the first quarter of 2020 until we were hit with our first national lockdown, which I remember very well, on the 14th of March. You were hardly able to leave the house, and I personally must have been stopped 6 times at Guardia Civil roadblocks, questioned where I was going and why. All this obviously had an effect on the property market. Not me being stopped by the roadblocks, by the way, just the actual lockdown and the COVID-19. We managed to struggle through this, and then the UK finally left Europe, and from the 1st of January 2021, things again changed. Fortunately, Moneycorp invested thousands into forming a European company based in Dublin and obtaining all the necessary permissions and licenses from the Bank of Ireland to enable us to continue legally carrying out our business throughout Europe. Some of the changes meant that unless you were deemed a permanent resident, you are now only allowed to be in Spain 90 days in any 180 days. This is going to cause problems come April for people who have lived here for years and years, but never taken up or become residents. As well as the issues brought about by the UK leaving the European Union, Spain, like a lot of countries throughout the world, was hit with another wave of COVID-19. Again, we went into lockdown, curfews were introduced, national borders had restricted access, and regional borders were closed to stop people from travelling from area to area. Some of this is still in place at this moment in time. We're hoping all these will be relaxed, possibly not until after Easter. Only Spanish residents or people with very, very good reasons could enter the country, and masses of flights to and from the UK were cancelled. All this massively affected the market and a sharp decrease in property sales. I'm also seeing a change in demographics where older retired people who are concerned about residency and healthcare are selling up and moving back to the UK. These are being replaced by the wealthy retirees who have got the money to live here and afford private health cover. Younger people who have reflected what they really want out of life during the pandemic, and people who could now work from home and are thinking, why not work from home in a warmer climate? We're also seeing a move away from apartment blocks to detached properties and country properties with more space. Having said all that, I would like to finish on a positive note. Not all is doom and gloom. Whilst at present property sales are well down, people are still buying, and some are buying via video viewings and using power of attorney. Estate agents are reporting that whilst current property sales are down, they're experiencing increased inquiries. Most people are expecting a busy second half of the year. Let's all hope so. Finally, why choose Moneycorp, the company of choice in Spain? We have a long-established team with between 6 to 16 years service working here in Spain, local high street offices. As Juliana mentioned, competitive rates of exchange, a repatriation scheme for customers selling up and moving back to the UK, saving them thousands in Spanish bank charges. I could go on, but I won't. So thank you, everyone, and I'll hand you back to Kelly.
Norman, thank you so much. And we can't wait till we're able to come travel out there to visit with you, hopefully in the not too distant future. So thank you again.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Tanya, over to you now to bring us up to speed from the UK.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm Tanya Uniacke. I'm head of UK sales origination for Moneycorp. I'm quite competitive, so I'm going to start by saying that I win the length of service competition, having started at Moneycorp in what my daughter would refer to as the olden days, back in 2004. I started in sales admin. I've worked in various departments over the years. I have witnessed 4 office moves and particularly enjoyed a 2-year stint in the south of France, which had nothing to do with the wine or the weather, I'll point out. So what do we mean by UK origination? Well, it's an important definition in this post-Brexit world. But essentially, I take responsibility for the sourcing and onboarding of UK-based private clients, but also rest of world. So anyone outside of the 3 jurisdictions that Kelly, Norman, and Juliana manage. So US, Brazil, and Europe. I would say our partnership network here is very different from what Norman's touched on with his European offices. We work less with realtors or real estate agents and more supporting businesses within the financial services sector. So typically mortgage brokers, tax, wealth, financial advisors, and also historically, but less so last year, visa agents and removal specialists. So anyone whose clients need their life savings converted into a foreign currency. The world has been an interesting place, let's say, since 2016. I would say that largely our partners have remained constant, but our client demographic has evolved. So we saw an immediate shift from our typical British client buying property in Europe, France, Spain, Italy, to a sharp increase in referrals of wealthy foreigners investing into the UK. And we see these from all over the world, Europe, US, Asia, Middle East, locals, but also British expats as well. So why would a financial advisor or mortgage broker, why would anybody go to the trouble of talking to their clients about Moneycorp and introducing the services of foreign exchange? Well, let's take a look at this slide. So we're looking at sterling dollar just from last year, paints an interesting picture, but probably tells you all you need to know. I'm being dramatic by using this example, but as a rate movement this severe is unusual. But if we take from Feb 2020, March 2020, you see that there, we see a drop from 130 to 115. Now, this isn't, I mean, it's not typical, but it's not unusual. We saw it in 2016 with the referendum, and we saw it here at the start of the pandemic, which stopped being a conversational topic down the pub and started, unfortunately, being a conversational topic over Zoom. Industries closed, planes were grounded, and oil became a commodity that no one wanted or had place to store. Q, a fall from 130 to 115. Lowest level we'd seen sterling dollar cable since 25 years. Now, part of the service that we offer is booking in, reserving and fixing, locking in these exchange rates for up to 2 years. We filled many orders at this time for our dollar sellers. To put that into numbers for you, so let's take a dollar seller buying a property in London, £500,000. That person would need to stump up an additional $75,000 if the rate's at 130 versus the rate being at 115. Now, I'd love to take credit for the fact that that person doesn't need to then stump up £75,000 at that time. Obviously, a lot of that is market-led, but we also like to believe that a lot of that is because our dealers are very well trained in the markets, and their job is to look after their clients' portfolios and ensure that they are keeping them abreast of market movements and offering that service to help them book a transfer at the optimum time. New trends we're seeing in 2021. It's been quite interesting again, but I think similar to what both Norman and Juliana have touched on, as the world adapts, we have seen an increase in referrals from lawyers as more people look to complete transactions, property transactions via proxy or power of attorney, as well as an increase in inheritance and probate requirements. But with that, we have started the year fantastically strong, and we are on a very good trajectory for impressive year-on-year growth, which is really, really reassuring and exciting to see. I'll end by saying throughout it all, and the ever-changing marketplace that I know the world is going through, It is really humbling to still be partnering with some of the same businesses since even before my time. There was such a time. Simon Conn, the original referrer who pretty much launched the Moneycorp regular payments product, as well as BNP Paribas International Buyers and France Media Group, proving that the British love affair with France reigns on. It's also been really great to see some of our partners strike up alliances between themselves after meeting at various Moneycorp events. So fingers crossed, I get to leave this room at some point soon, and I hope to see many of you on a terrace with a glass of rosé in hand in time for the summer. Back to you, Kelly.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Now, I know I've done a lot of talking already, but before we welcome our special guest, I would like to tell you a little bit about our market here in the US. And I'll start by just introducing myself a bit further. Tanya does have me beat, but I do feel like I'm right on her heels. I joined the Moneycorp team in 2006. We've got 2 years on me there. And I'm based out of Orlando, Florida. I'm actually an Orlando, Florida native. I've been here my entire life. And yes, prior to joining Moneycorp, I did work for Walt Disney World because it's just kind of a prerequisite when you grow up here. That's just what you do. But I enjoyed my time there working as an entertainer prior to joining Moneycorp. Here at Moneycorp, like Tanya and the others, I've worn many, many hats, which I feel is a great opportunity for us to really learn the business and make sure that we're working as efficiently as possible. So I've worked on the account opening team, speaking to your customers that you introduced to Moneycorp. I've worked as an account manager, working directly with many of our partners around the globe, and then ultimately had the opportunity of becoming the country manager several years back, where now I look over lots of fun things. I look after operational things, our marketing, and all things private clients and partnerships here in the US. I am a former chairwoman of the Global Real Estate Council of Orlando, where I continue to volunteer working directly with the associations to plan top-notch meetings for their global members. And I'm heavily involved in realtor communities throughout the United States, where we spend our time educating real estate professionals on the importance of understanding currency exchange rates and international transfer processes so that they can better advise their clients. The role of my team here in the US is to not only work with partners to assist them with their international clients, but to help them create their international dream team. You see, we want to help all of our partners to build their networks and to help them become a one-stop shop for their international clients. So whether it's an immigration attorney, an international tax consultant, relocation specialist, foreign national lender, if you don't have this resource or tool in your toolkit, we encourage you to reach out to your account manager and let us be the liaison. Let us help you to bridge that gap and to have that resource available to you in the future. We love the opportunity to make those connections. And that's one of the reasons our team is out here to support you in doing just that. The types of customers who we are currently assisting from our office here in the USA, of course, is ever changing. It's very fluid. But from a foreign buyer perspective, we're seeing buyers from the UK, which is great. We're always seeing buyers from Canada, right? Our snowbirds, they love our climate down here in Florida. Brazil and elsewhere. Florida continues to be an active market for both domestic and international investors. On the flip side, we are seeing a vast amount of foreign sellers. These sellers, of course, are also from the UK, Canada, France, etc. There are huge opportunities and really important processes that these clients need to follow to ensure money does not get stuck in the United States. And I encourage those of you who are here today that if you are communicating with a client who is selling their property in the US, to please encourage them to speak with us to ensure a smooth closing without the risk of their money getting stuck here. You see, without the right guidance, an international seller might think it's a good idea to leave their funds in a US bank until they decide it's time to transfer their proceeds back home. But the bad news is that due to the United States Patriot Act and other banking regulations, it is not typically possible for someone to do a transfer out of their US bank without being physically present. As you can imagine, this comes as quite the shock to clients when they are ready to transfer their funds from the US back home, wherever that may be. Getting Moneycorp involved prior to the real estate closing allows the seller to transfer their US dollar proceeds directly to their Moneycorp account. Once the funds are with us, the seller can choose to leave the funds on their Moneycorp account or convert them to the currency of their choice, which of course, they also then benefit from our rates of exchange versus the rates of the US banks directly. The other market we're really seeing transition here are Americans buying abroad, right? And it's funny, they're all really interested in making investments into Portugal, the UK, France, Spain, and even the Caribbean. With our rates being extremely competitive compared to the US banks, as well as the strength of the US dollar over the past few years, which Tanya kind of talked about, we are seeing huge growth in this specific market. Our local team here in the US, with our local team here, these clients feel comfortable working with our specialist from right here within the US to assist them with making their international investments. So we hope to have the opportunity to work with you if you're seeing these types of investors come your way. Just to finish, I want to speak specifically about the Florida market. It's an interesting time here for us in Florida. So I just want to mention a few stats. Sales are up across the state. In fact, sales were up by 18% in January of 2021 compared to January last year. And with mortgage rates also continuing to be incredibly low, we don't see sales slowing up anytime soon. Inventory, however, inventory continues to be the main concern. Inventory of January this year compared to last is down by 51%. What I can tell you is that new construction projects are popping up everywhere you turn, but again, the buyer demand is outpacing the supply. Even myself personally, we've considered selling our property as of late, but the thought of having to find a property to purchase is actually nerve-wracking. So we're just going to sit tight for a bit longer. Property prices are climbing, which is leading to seller opportunities. And while our prices are rising, Florida's median sales price remains relatively low compared to other larger markets throughout the United States, with a median price of just $305,000 US. So in a nutshell, the Florida real estate market is booming, and with COVID causing many to realize their ability to work from home, coupled with the brutal winters that many throughout the North are faced with, we're not expecting things to slow down here in sunny Florida anytime soon. And for those of you that are wondering today, don't be mad. We are in about the mid 80s or around 27 degrees Celsius here today. But on that warm note, it is with great pleasure that I now introduce to you our special guest, Brittany Hodak.
Thank you, Kelly. And, thank you for making us all jealous with the temperature. What I thought you were going to share is what character actor you were when you worked at Disney.
For another day.
You're going to keep us waiting. See, guys, that's a teaser. That's so that you tune into the next webinar where we all get to find out the costume that Kelly wore at Walt Disney World. Well, thank you all so much for allowing me to be a part of this event. I am the Chief Experience Officer of Experience.com. We're an experience management platform where we use data to make experiences matter more. And I am a super fan of Moneycorp, which is how I ended up here today. And, I talk to people about creating super fans. The way I define a super fan is a customer who creates more customers for you. So being on the partner and referral side, this is a world that you all live in and know very well. And here's the thing about those super fan customers. The way we create them is by connecting our story with their story. The crossover between our individual stories, our company stories, and the stories of every one of those customers is where the super fan magic happens, because that's where we can take them from apathy to advocacy. They know what we do. They know why we matter. They know how we can make their lives better. And as you just heard from everyone on this panel, the important things that you can do to remove friction and make transactions more seamless matter so much to customers. But that's not really what I want to talk about for the bulk of my time today. What I want to talk about is the importance of reaching out and making those human connections beyond the services that you're providing, beyond the benefits that you provide. The common thread for every human on the planet right now is the craziness and the uncertainty that we've been living in for an entire year. It's been a full year of people not knowing if that light at the end of the tunnel really is the light we think it is, how much longer the tunnel is, what's coming next. So every single person watching this webinar right now has the ability to make the lives of the people they talk to every day better. I am a huge believer that every experience everyone has will either be a net negative, net positive, or net neutral experience for the person or the people on the other side. So every phone call that you make, every video conversation that you have over Zoom, every text message, every email, every single touch point you have, at the end of that exchange, the person on the other side is either going to feel better, worse, or exactly the same as they did when that conversation started. To the extent that you can be intentional about the energy that you bring to every interaction to make the person on the other side feel better, you will literally change the world around you. You will make every single person that you come into contact with feel better. Now, you may say it's not always possible to make everyone feel better or to make every conversation have a positive spin. You're right. Sometimes you've got to deliver bad news. Sometimes you've got to have hard conversations. But by being intentional about making that a neutral experience, by saying, here's the bad news, but here's the plan, here's what we're going to do about it. So that at the end of the conversation, instead of feeling overwhelmed, that people feel like they know what the next steps are, right? There's that promise. There's that certainty of knowing what's going to happen. So that's the power of intentionality. That's the power of saying, I'm going to create as many net positive experiences I can for everyone around me, everyone that I come into contact with. If you do that, if you be intentional about your interactions, you will create superfan customers. You will create people who want to work with you at the exclusion of anyone else because it was fun and it was easy. And they know they're going to have a great time, or at least be taken very well care of when they pick up the phone to work with you. So another commonality of COVID is that we're getting to know each other at intimate levels that we never would have before. Think about over the past year, the number of people's bedrooms that you've seen inside, or their living rooms. You've met their children, you've met their pets, you've learned so many things about them and their family. So the weird duality about this time that we're living in is that even though many of us have gone longer than we ever have in our lives without physically touching other people or physically being in the presence of people who aren't in our household or our bubbles, we're getting to know people on this different human level. That's going to change not only the power that we have to connect with other people right now, but forever. You heard all of the reports. It was the same thing from everyone, right? Norman and Tanya and Juliana and Kelly were all saying disruption, things happening differently. People can work from anywhere. People are making changes. None of those things are going to go away. We're going to have work independence. People are going to be retiring sooner. People are going to be traveling around more than they ever had as we all figure out and navigate this new normal together. So instead of saying, here's the way I'm going to get back to relating to people when things get back to normal, if you haven't already, please embrace the fact that this probably is the new normal. We're going to be in a hybrid world where not all of your meetings are going to take place in a boardroom. Not all of the people that you're used to seeing are going to be someone that you get to see in real life. So to the extent that you can embrace the fact that while it's different, communicating with people via video or text message or email is probably how things are going to be for a while. I invite you to find opportunities to make those experiences matter more, make those conversations more relevant, make sure you're adding value and you're showing up and you're being intentional with those net positives. I want to introduce you, if you're not familiar with a role, it's my favorite role of mine. It's not from me. It's from a guy named Dr. Tony Alessandra. He wrote a book called The Platinum Rule. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. So we all grew up with the golden rule. And the golden rule says, treat others the way you want to be treated. And that's a great rule. But the problem with the golden rule is that not everyone wants to be treated the way that each of us wants to be treated, because we all have our own backgrounds, our own life experiences, our own preferences. So the platinum rule says treat them the way they want to be treated. Find out how every customer that you're dealing with wants to be treated and cater the experience to them. Because somebody who's moving to Brazil from the UK is probably going to have a very different set of experiences and expectations than somebody who's in Portugal, who's going to Florida for the first time. So to the extent that you can shape your process with your customers to uncover what it is that they want, how they want to be treated, and tailor the way you work with them to each individual customer, I promise that you will see higher engagements. The net positives that we talked about before will be almost automatic, and you will start to create super fan customers. So one last thing that I'll leave you with is the importance of connection. As I've said, the people that you're connecting with, we never know what anyone is experiencing when the camera is off or when they're not outside. The people that you're talking to may not be dealing with that many other people. Every interaction is so important and really is a chance for you to make someone feel seen and heard and validated. About 4 years ago, I was having lunch with a friend of a friend, and I was trying to close a business deal. A client of mine had introduced me to the person who ran this giant talent agency, and I knew that if I could just get him to give us some business, it would be, probably 7 figures worth of revenue every single quarter. So, I was so excited to finally get this meeting, and the guy's name was Jeremy. So I'm at coffee with Jeremy, and he's like totally blowing me off. He's on his phone. He's not paying attention. I actually, after about, I think it was 12 minutes, I was like, do you just want to go? Like, I could tell he was just not into it. And so in that couple minutes together, he had mentioned that his birthday was coming up that weekend and he was going to go see Hamilton. This was a few years ago and we were in New York, and he said he had Hamilton tickets for his birthday. And I was like, oh, that's great. So as part of my process in my CRM, I always make sure to send a note to everyone acknowledging meeting them, right? Whether it's a phone meeting, whether it's an in real life meeting, I send a note, a handwritten note in the mail saying, thanks for the time, just because it was something that I always have done, because I feel like you can connect with people with handwritten notes. So at the end of this particular week, instead of writing out a thank you note to Jeremy, I grabbed a birthday card and I thought I'll just write it in a birthday card because he mentioned his birthday was coming up. Again, I remember thinking as I was doing this, I can't believe I'm wasting a card and a stamp on this. This guy could not have gotten out of there fast enough. He's never going to give us business. He totally only met me as a favor to Travis, and we're never going to be working together. But again, I wanted to check that box in my CRM. So I write this birthday note and I send it in the mail. Don't think about it again. About a week later, my phone rings and it's Jeremy. And I was like, hey, what's up? Was never expecting this guy to ever call me. And he said, I just want to tell you, thank you for the birthday note. And I said, yeah, of course. How was your birthday? Did you end up going to Hamilton? And he said, no, you don't understand. Part of the reason I was so upset when we met and so distant is because I was really bummed about my birthday coming up, because 3 months ago, I lost my grandma. And every single birthday of my life, I've looked forward to getting a birthday card from my grandma, because I didn't have great relationships with my parents. Some years they didn't even remember to tell me happy birthday, but every year I knew I was getting a card from my grandma on my birthday. So I was so, I was dreading my birthday. I didn't even check the mail on my birthday, but I opened the mailbox the day after and your card was in there, and it made me cry. And I feel like my grandma put you in my life to send me that birthday card. So talk about I felt like I got hit by an emotional bus, right? I was like, oh my gosh, that's the kind of human connection that you can create when you take the time to reach out to another person, even if you don't know them well. And, obviously I had no idea what was going on in Jeremy's life. He and I became great friends. We actually did quite a bit of business together, but it was more than that because we connected on that human level, and he's become a really close friend to me. That's the power of authentic connection. And, you know, the sad reality is that so many people have lost people close to them in the past year from COVID and other things, both related and non-related. So as I said before, you never know what the person on the other side of the Zoom screen or the other side of the phone call or the email is going through. Make sure that you're making every intention to bring positivity and bring joy to their lives, whether that's sharing funny stories, funny memes, or just asking them how their day's going and really taking the time to listen to the answer. I know that sometimes I wish I had like a full week just to reach out to people. I'm like, if I just had 1 week, all I would do is just check in with people, colleagues, friends, family, doesn't matter. I would just check in. So if you've ever thought that, I want to share a little secret with you. If you take 15 minutes, 5 days a week to check in with people at the end of the year, do you know how much time that is? It's almost 65 hours. So that's an entire week and a half work week that you can spend towards sharing joy and reaching out and improving connections in just 15 minutes a day. So if you already don't have an intentional practice around reaching out to people and being connected, I encourage you to block a 15-minute chunk of time in your calendar every single day that you protect, that you treat like any other meeting, and you use it to be intentional about your outreach to the people around you. I suggest doing it first thing in the morning because it's a great practice that aligns with any gratitude or mindfulness practices that you may have, but just take 15 minutes a day. And it doesn't matter if you send an email or a social message or a handwritten card, but just reach out to the people in your network. Maybe they're a customer, maybe they're an employee or a vendor or some other kind of partner. Let them know that they matter to you, that they are a super fan, that you are a super fan of theirs and they matter to you. And if you do this, I promise you will see that experience is everything. Everything about the way you communicate with the people around you is rooted in experience. The way you make people feel, connecting your story to theirs in a way that says, you know what? No matter what this planet throws at us next, we're in it together and we got this. If we can survive COVID, we can survive whatever's next as long as we're doing it together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brittany. Thank you for challenging us to step outside of our comfort zones. And you are just such a joy to all of us. And we are so glad that you were able to spend some time with us here today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kelly.
On behalf of Moneycorp and our global partnerships team, we thank you for joining us today. Remember, if you need help building your international dream team, we're here to help you. If you have any questions, please contact your account manager, or remember, you can email us on events@moneycorp.com. We thank you all for your continued partnerships, and we wish you health and prosperity throughout the year. Thank you.